That's right. Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. Tiki here.
And Jacob Wile too.
And welcome to the official recap podcast of So You Want to Be an Imagineer, Season 16, Project 4, entitled Roadside Attractions. This is Purists versus Innovators. Okay, Jacob, we've got 6 wonderful projects to go over this evening. We've got 2 on the innovator, 2 on the purist side of things, and 4 on the innovator side of things. And also, Jacob, very, very importantly, for the first time since Project 2, because I was kind of lazy in Project 3, we're going to have an official update to the leaderboard. We're going to tell you guys who's in what position, and we're also going to have an important announcement about how to get into the coveted Elite 8. This is an announcement so exclusive that even Jacob doesn't know about it yet.
Sweet.
All right, so Jacob, on this batch of projects for the purist side, they were asked to kind of travel back in time, to go into the way, way back machine. And imagine, hypothetically, if Walt Disney were to set up a tourist trap that was something that would have hypothetically led to Disneyland. And then on the innovator side of things, they were asked to come up with what is kind of boils down to a spiritual successor to Disney Quest, kind of a Disney family fun center that you could clone at various cities throughout the country. Jacob, overall, how do you feel about this batch of projects?
I was very impressed. Like I like the roads they took with these concepts. It allowed for a lot of creativity.
Yeah, I love this. Especially the 2 projects we got on the purist side of things, just because I really kind of fell in love with the prompt when I came up with it. So we'll talk through that. We'll go through the purist, and then we'll go through the innovators. And as always, folks, I'm sorry, I just don't really have the energy to kind of be flipping through all the imagery here. So what we're going to do, we're just going to lock onto these. But let's start with Space. And Space has done a project that, my God, Jacob, has just kind of captured my imagination. He did The Castle. Now, Jacob, I, of course, spent about a year volunteering at the Walt Disney Family Museum. I kind of ingratiated myself in the history and the lore of the man, the myth, the legend. And I can say, Jacob, this project just feels like something that would be uncovered at the museum. You know, something like, hey, oh my God, Walt Disney had this secret thing, and then it led to Main Street. This project has such an air of legitimacy about it, Jacob. I loved it.
That it does. I love it too.
Yeah,
I love it too.
It's the simplicity about it.
Oh yeah, that's what I really did enjoy this project. That's one reason why it was like such a highlight. It almost felt like an authentic brochure reading the history of this place.
Kind of like if you were to go to a restaurant that's connected to it, you'd see this like written on a sidebar of the menu.
Yep. Like, this town inspired Disneyland.
Yeah, just the narrative quality of it, you know, just like, my Jove, you know, the aha moment.
Yep.
Just really, really wonderful stuff overall. Like I said, it captured my imagination. I'm very curious. There's 1 or 2 people in particular that work at the museum. Of course, I won't name names or anything, but I'd be so curious to see their reactions to this, because of course it's not real. It's a hypothetical. It's all in good fun. But like I said, the challenge is to come up with something that uses technology that's primitive even beyond the state of 1955 Disneyland, which, you know, given the state of Disney today, is pretty damn primitive. It was a challenge. It was very much, I kind of teased this project as being a deconstruction of Imagineering in general.
They worked it out pretty well. I was really impressed by this one.
Yeah. Just in terms of the actual content, like I said, there's not much to it, but it just feels like the way I describe it, Jacob, it's like, hey, someone plopped down a modern, you know how miniature golf courses like Scandia, I don't know if you have Scandias up where you live, but Scandias for me, it's like a family fun center and it has miniature golf courses that are all themed around castles. And this to me kind of feels like, whereas Disneyland is like a scale replica of a castle, this is sort of like a miniature golf course equivalent to a castle in a good way, in a charming way, in a way where it's like in this era of small town Marceline, Missouri, it'd be very impressive. Whereas today, if you put up like a miniature golf castle, it'd be like, oh, cool. It'd be something to entertain the kids for a minute.
I'd actually love to see Disney like do a kind of like a miniature golf course.
Well, Disney World has a couple miniature golf courses. There's Winter Summerland at Blizzard Beach.
All right.
Yeah.
I didn't do that at Blizzard Beach. I went on the rides, the slides, and all that.
Well, I'm planning on going to both Blizzard Beach and Winter Summerland because I'm not planning on spending a full day at Blizzard Beach. I'm just not going to have the energy for that.
I didn't spend the whole day. It's like mainly because it was starting to get rainy by the time I started to leave.
Yeah, and that the weather factor is also Anyways,
it rained probably almost every day I was down there.
Oh, geez, really? And it was summer when you were down there, right?
Yeah, but it's the middle of a swamp. I mean, don't get me wrong. There are plenty of. I mean, I'm not saying it rained the entire time. It's just like there was at least a little bit of rain almost every single day.
Right. Which it's Florida. I guess I've got to get used to that. Anyways, 25 days, Jacob.
Yep.
All right, so let's get to Space's scores. Sorry, let me. I'm on the wrong page here. For creativity, what do you give him?
Give an 8.
Give an 8. All right, sorry. Let me.
Space Mountain, the final frontier.
My bad. Okay, so for creativity, I believe I gave him a 9 out of 10. Yeah, because it's a castle, right? Like it's a castle, so it's not going to win any points where it's like, oh my god, I've never seen the concept of a castle executed in a Disney park before. But the bonus points for me, Jacob, the reason why it really stood out was just because of the narrative quality to it.
That's a boost of the realism for mine.
Yeah, realism, I gave a 10 out of 10.
I give mine a 9.
Okay.
Same as detail, but I did give the presentation a 10.
Nice. I actually gave presentation a 9. I don't know why I didn't give it a 10, but there you go. Let's see. And then detail, I gave a 10.
Nice.
Okay, so I guess let's move on to D. Hindley and Snow White Park. Oh my god. I don't think I had this scored quite as high as Space, but for me, I might like it even more. I definitely think it's a little more ambitious than Space's proposal. No disrespect to Space, of course. First of all, the Tony Baxter quote at the beginning is just like, wow. Like it just feels like it totally feels like the Splash Mountain story. Like, well, a lot of my good brainstorming comes from driving on the freeway, and I knew Disneyland needed a log flume, so I was like, aha, America sings, Splash Mountain, Song of the South. So this just feels, Jacob, I've been to parks that are exactly like this. I actually had a park in my childhood. I mentioned this in my written review. I had a park in my childhood that's still there in Sacramento, California, called the Nut Tree. And that's a little more than like, it's kind of themed to aviation. So it's got an airplane museum and it's got a train ride. And I believe there's a carousel there, and that's about it. And this Snow White Park, is very much kind of in line with that, and I loved that about it. It's just a small town sort of, just a small town sort of thing, and I love the detail, like Tony Baxter's pointing out, of it was just kind of like nestled along the freeway. I really like how they used the berm.
Yeah, that was really nice. It's like
Where it's like you can't see most of the park from the freeway, but you can see the train, and that's just enough to kind of entice you forward.
And it kind of makes it feel like Disney World is like these Disney parks are like the biggest little parks in the world.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest small town parks.
And also, I love the Seven Dwarf billboards. That was inspired, and also great photo manipulation.
That was a nice touch.
Yeah, yeah. As far as the actual content, like I said, it's very simple and it's very reminiscent of other roadside attractions, much like ones I've been to in my childhood. I don't think I think narratively Spaces was a little more ambitious in terms of like, hey, look, this is the exact jumping off aha point that led to the inception of Disneyland. Like he Leonardo DiCaprio Inception, that stuff right there. But with D. Hindley, it's nice in its own regard, and I especially like how it sort of reminded me of Rogue One, where it's like, hey, and that's how you get Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. It just kind of dovetails into it.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I love the kind of Disneyland alternate history timeline where it's like, and it was replaced by a sunglass stand.
Nice.
I lived through an era, Jacob, where it was where the Tiki Room at Disneyland was threatened to be replaced by a food court. And if not for the power of early Disney internet fans, that would have probably happened. So I am very much kind of on the front lines of like stupid Disneyland changes. I still to this day like kind of lament the loss of the Country Bears and the People Movers at Disneyland. God, the People Movers, it's like, oh yeah, let's just tear out one of our most beloved and most well-written and well-trafficked attractions for a freaking fast ride. That's not even going to work anyways. I'm still bitter about that to this day.
Disney World still has both of those.
Yes, I know, Jacob, and I'm very excited to ride them when I get the Oh, I'm so excited. Oh, I'm so excited, Jacob.
But I didn't get to see either one.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't see the Country Bears, nor did I get on the People Mover. I had other things to do.
I mean, I don't like People Mover isn't necessarily a top priority for me, but Country Bears is gonna Country Bears is easily in my top 5 to see at the Magic Kingdom, if not my top 3. I mean, that might honestly be the thing I'm most looking forward to in the Magic Kingdom.
Man,
I know that's weird to say because it's such an old attraction, but I'm just such a sucker for animatronic shows.
I mean, I had the mountains, the Haunted Mansion, various other things around there, the castle.
I mean, that's the thing. That's the thing. I mean, I've already done the Haunted Mansion. I've already done the mountains. It's like, so while I'm excited for the mountains, it's not like if I don't get on Thunder Mountain for some reason, I'm not going to lose sleep over that.
Well, remember, I haven't been to that ride. I don't have Disneyland, and I haven't been there wasn't there for over 10 years, so I wanted to get the stuff I wanted to get done.
I understand. I'm just giving you my perspective.
And plus I had to go visit all the different areas of the Magic Kingdom, too.
Oh, God, Jacob, it's going to be so overwhelming for me. Anyways.
I went on I swear I went in all areas of that park. It's like a hub and spokes kind of thing.
Oh, well, yeah, sure. Anyways.
Sorry.
So I guess for D. Hindley, let's just get to the scores. For creativity, I gave him a solid 10 out of 10.
Yeah, that's nice.
What do you give him?
8.
Nice. Okay, for realism, I gave him an 8 out of 10. I don't know why. It is pretty realistic. I don't know. I guess
that's why I gave it a 9.
Yeah. sometimes when you write out these scores, you don't really have a lot of justification. Realism, I'm sorry, detail, I gave a 9 out of 10 to.
Same thing as me.
And presentation, I gave a 9 out of 10.
I went with 8 for that, actually.
Okay. All right. So let's let's switch over to the innovator side of things, starting with KMB. KMV did a really innovative presentation, actually, with the slideshow format, and I really loved it. And I was so impressed by the graphs and the charts. And I don't know, Jacob, it just felt all very professional. I felt very adult reading it. You know what I mean? Like, oh, yes, pitch me your very professional business proposal there, KMB, but in a good way, in a way that I feel like made the project really stand out.
Yep.
KMB mentions right at the start that he's from Chicago. He loves his own town, and he's very passionate about that. And I feel like that very much kind of shines through in the writing. And I love how.
And isn't Walt from Chicago too?
He's from near Chicago.
That's what I thought.
I mean, he moved around in his childhood, so of course there was Marceline, Kansas City.
Well, I know all those. I'm just saying. I know I did at least spend some time in Chicago.
He spent some time in Chicago. Yeah, I'm not sure if that was his birth city or not.
He moved around a lot, though. I mean, though Marceline claims to be the hometown of Walt Disney.
Mm-hmm. Which I think is untrue.
That actually, I mean, like that's like they say that's like basically they claim it as like that's where he like got inspired and that's where he like did a lot of.
It's the town he spent the majority of its childhood. I'll give it that much.
That's what they mean by hometown. I mean, technically, I was born in Columbus, but I mean, if you want to talk about my physical place of my birth, it was Columbus, but where I was raised, it was Pickerington, Ohio. So, and that's why I consider that my hometown. I think that's what they're going for with Walt there.
It was funny. It's like I spent the first 10 years of my life living in Roanoke Park, and then I moved to Petaluma. And even though my grandparents lived in Petaluma, so it's like I was familiar with Petaluma. So I very much consider Petaluma my hometown. So I get what you're going for with that. Anyways, semantics. Yay.
Yeah. The funny thing is they even put that out on their website.
Uh-huh.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Let me see. Just in terms of KMB's proposal, I've got to admit, it's been a couple days since I read this, since we had to delay this. I know, don't apologize. It's fine. But I do like all the different offerings that KMB has. Like I said, the thing that really struck out to me most, it wasn't so much the writing. It was just how well organized it was, how fluid it was to read, how visually stimulating it was.
Yeah, I mean, I do like the idea of a Disney park like that.
Mm.
I mean, there's so
does in particular stick out to you, Jacob?
I think the overall planning of it, like the different activities and like even the floor planning and all that worked out. That was really cool.
Yeah, like I said, the floor planning is just something that really blew my mind. I mean, just how well thought out it was. Like I keep going back to this word when I talk about this project, but it felt professional.
There are plenty of places. That give it that kind of floor plan that would work in Central Ohio.
Right. I could totally see one in San Francisco.
Well, I mean, I don't know if they do one in San Francisco, considering Disneyland, but who knows?
Well, it's Northern California. It's far enough.
Well, I suppose. I mean,
you know how big California is, Jacob?
Yes, I'm well aware how big California is.
Have you seen a map recently?
Yes, but I'm just saying, would they do that much in one state? I mean, if they already have Disneyland, would they do that in California?
I have to say, there's a big difference between a family fun center and Disneyland. It's like,
I know.
I don't know. I think with San Francisco, the bigger thing you'd have to worry about is not stepping on the Disney Family Museum's toes.
Probably.
And of course, that's even more complicated due to the fact that it's not technically owned by the Disney company. It's owned by the Disney family.
Interesting.
So, yeah, I don't want to get too into the politics with that because I don't know the politics myself. But I know Ron Miller is actually the head of the Walt Disney family. So that's interesting considering he was the CEO after Walt died.
Yep, his son-in-law.
Yeah. Anyways, um, so any like particular experiences stand out to you? I really
You
like the
mean,
fact that he included Star Tours, and I like that it was like an extended ride, so it's
and
different from what you would get at the parks.
how it's updated based on various releases.
Yeah, that was clever.
Yep.
Although with the updates, for me, I'd like it to be consistent where, any characters we see in any various updates would be characters that would be alive within the timeline. Because, Jacob, I can't tell you how much it bothered me to have a scene with Vader followed immediately by a scene with Poe. That just like, oh God, that drove me nuts, Jacob. I'm just like, since when did Star Wars become Back to the Future?
Or yeah, definitely.
Anyways, so for KMB, for creativity, I gave him an 8 out of 10.
I went with 9.
Okay.
Pretty
I
much
gave
same by
Realism a solid 10 out of 10.
I actually went with 8 for that one because the Illinois area, that Chicago area, really isn't that much of a safe area. So I don't know how Disney would want to do that, be in that area. But other than that, I think it was a very logical and well put together.
I mean, the one thing I hear what you're saying, Jacob. I mean, a lot of large cities are going to have their problematic areas, San Francisco included. But um, the one thing that I think gives it a credibility with the choice is the fact that Disney already tried Disney Quest in Chicago. So Disney kind of has a history doing stuff in Chicago.
Yeah, that makes sense then.
Yeah.
I mean that's why I didn't really knock down too many points.
Uh-huh. Okay, let's see. For detail, I gave it a 9 out of 10.
8.
8. That makes sense because it is very visually orientated.
Yeah.
And
Presentation I did give a 9 because of all that.
I gave presentation a 10 out of 10 just because of how outside the box it was.
Yep. Yeah. I tried thinking back on some of my scores, and maybe I didn't give them enough points.
Well, I've got to admit, Jacob, I was just going to bring up, I think this season is probably the season I've been most liberal with my points. So don't feel bad. Because usually I'm more harsh than I am, so.
I guess I mean I try to stand by my choices, but sometimes looking back, I was like, maybe I should have given them more.
No, I hear you. I hear you. That's always part of the experience. Welcome to the world of judging, my friend.
Yeah, but to like avoid the complications that we had in like the first episode,
Yes.
I'm sticking with my guns.
That was a learning curve.
Yeah, I
Okay,
apologize.
let's transition to Ace Astro. This is a man playing after my own heart with all the RCT. I love the RCT focus here.
Oh yeah, the roller coaster tycoon stuff was sweet.
Mm-hmm. Very much influenced my presentation score. Jacob, here's my issue with this. This water park feels like a very vanilla, kind of Wet and Wild style water park. To me, like, I understand you're not going to have the level of immersion of something like Blizzard Beach, but I mean, to me, I really didn't get anything from the actual theme. Though, basically all I got was like, it's kind of like Wet and Wild slides, but with Disney's name on it.
And it's kind of derivative of Great Wolf Lodge, as he himself basically pointed out.
Yeah, right.
Like he mentioned Great Wolf Lodge by name.
So I guess that's kind of my issue with this. He spent so much time on the RCT portion of it that really, to me, the slides themselves and the overall theme of the water park didn't really have a strong identity to it.
It was just like Disney might as well just bought a regular theme park, regular water park, and slap their name on it.
That's
Basically,
honestly what it feels like, Jacob. I've got to be honest with you.
basically the only thing Disney to related to it. I mean, apparently was you can meet the characters in their swim trunks.
Jacob, did Ezra and I tell you about the Pennywise Goofy?
Yeah, you did. I like how he's like somehow was stalking you around Disneyland.
No. He was just like he was on the bridge of the Disneyland Hotel pool, and he didn't have anyone. He didn't have a handler with him, which was the most creepy thing about it. But he was just like he was just like taking pictures with guests, and then he like saw us, and he like directly like was like pointing and waving at us and like following us as we were walking, like following our line of sight. Oh god.
Penny
You'll
Goofy.
all float down here.
Penny Goofy or Goofy Wise.
Gosh. Beep beep Richie. Oh god. Someone needs to make fan art of that, please.
Oh, that'd be hilarious.
Okay. So honestly, Jacob, I feel like one of the things that I mentioned in my written reviews that I'm gonna have to give some kind of kind of the benefit of the doubt to is the fact that RCT in general, just visually, like it's a nice way to illustrate kind of in a in a tangible way, like this is what I'm going for. At the same time, it's got a very vanilla look to it.
And if only they had like a Disney roller coaster tycoon.
Oh God, if only, man. I mean, hell, I even enjoyed RCT2 having the Six Flags stuff.
I mean, who makes RCT again?
Atari.
Ah,
We've got one coming to the Switch, Jacob.
Well, I was thinking of Thrillville that LucasArts made.
Oh yeah, oh man, Thrillville. That was a weird game. That was more of a mini game collection than a roller coaster simulator.
You know, but still, if you like do something like that, but with Disney stuff, that'd be sweet.
But I don't know. All I know is that Roller Coaster Tycoon is coming to the Switch, and I couldn't be happier.
Sweet.
I doubt it'll have Disney licensing though, because Nintendo's relationship with Disney is weird right now.
And the fact that the game probably isn't made by Nintendo to begin with.
Right. I don't know. All right. Anything else to say about Ace Astras? Like I said, I really appreciate it from just kind of the time you put into the RCT, but I wish Jacob, I don't even want that much detail put into the actual slides. To me, the thing that's missing here that really kind of crippled the project, I shouldn't say crippled, that's too strong of a word, but that really kind of brought the project down a little bit, was the lack of an overall theme. Like Blizzard Beach, Typhoon Lagoon, those two parks have such a tangible theme to them. And like I said, I'm not expecting the same level of immersion, but just because you don't have the same level of immersion doesn't mean you don't have to have a backstory and something tangible, tying your park together. And at the end of the day, that's really what I was missing here.
See what you mean.
Alrighty, so let's get to the scores. I might have been a bit harsh here, Jacob, but for creativity, I gave it a 6 out of 10.
I actually give it an 8. Main reason being is like, as I discussed earlier, being derivative of Great Wolf Lodge.
Mm-hmm.
I think there actually is a Great Wolf Lodge in Cincinnati.
I've never heard of Great Wolf Lodge. I didn't know it was a chain.
I mean, I think so. It's either that or it's the Great Bear Lodge or something. I don't know.
Uh-huh. Okay, realism I gave a 9 out of 10 to, just because it's very vanilla water slides. I can't see any reason why Disney couldn't pull it off.
Yeah, it's the same score.
Okay, detail I gave an 8 out of 10.
I went with 9.
Okay. And importantly, presentation, I set 10 out of 10. I mean, come on.
You gave it a 10?
Yeah, I gave it a 10.
Me too.
All right. Cool. Cool.
Pretty much the only place we differed was creativity.
Yeah. And like I said, I was probably a little. I mean, I personally wouldn't go higher than a 7 on creativity, but you know, 6 might have been a little too harsh. So Jacob, let's talk about the one that, like, score wise, I feel like we most differed on, because this was one of my lowest scoring project and this was your highest scoring project, I believe. Pie on My Cake.
All right.
So for me, I don't know. There was just a little bit too much going on with this. And of course, Pie and I were buds, you know, so it's kind of like judging Pie's stuff. It's like more so than anyone else this season is like judging a friend's work. But so I feel bad that it didn't really grab me. But you know, I got to be honest with my judging, and to me, I feel like there was a little too much going on, but at the same time, the stuff that Pie did have was repetitive. Like, you know, the princess stuff and the Star Wars stuff and the pirate stuff was basically the same general experiences. Like, all right, you got a meet and greet, you got a training academy, you got an escape room. You know, it's the same basic experiences, just with different aesthetics to them. And by the same token, Jacob, really kind of the main problem I have with this project is there, and kind of the reason why realism for me took a hit. You would need so many people to staff this place, it's ridiculous.
Well, it's not like they couldn't afford it.
I'm just saying, for the actual benefits of staffing a family fun center, it's like, this isn't a Disney park where you're allowed to have 100 people on Indiana Jones. I mean, to me, it feels just a little excessive with all the, I don't know. I mean, maybe if Pie would have gone into specifics where different things would be open at different times. To me, just tangibly, it just seems like, not even in terms of payroll, just in terms of managing all those employees, it would just, and especially with acting being involved and guest management. I know, Jacob, as someone who's worked at a Disney, you know, not for Disney themselves, but at a Disney attraction at the museum, I can tell you firsthand, this would just be an employment nightmare. I don't know.
All right.
So what do you think? Because you tended to like it better than me. So what really grabbed you about this?
Yeah, honestly, I really don't know. I just really like the thought he put into it mainly.
One of the things I really appreciated about this is how much emphasis he put on the different age groups.
Yeah, that really did grab me.
Mm-hmm. That was unique, actually. I don't really see a lot of people doing that. And I guess this is a unique project, so it kind of calls for it, but it was a nice touch. It was something extra that he put some thought into that not many other people did.
Yep.
I don't know. Have you been to an escape room, Jacob? Because that's kind of an enigma to me.
Nope, I can't say that I have.
Do you know much about them? Like what they're like?
I can't say that either.
I need to do some research into that. I'm kind of fascinated by the concept, just because in general, I'm kind of fascinated by the idea of bite-sized tourist stuff. So I can't say that I'm not interested. I just don't. I'm sure there's escape rooms that I could seek out in San Francisco. I don't know.
Well, yeah, I like the whole idea of a escape room.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I'm just
I
not
can
sure
totally,
exactly how it would work on kind of like a fun, like it feels like to me it'd be like a live action video game, which is to me a really exciting experience.
I can see. I'd like to see Disney try and pull something like that off
Yeah.
for real.
Like I said, Jacob, I feel like everything that Pi had in here was good. It's just the resources were potentially spread a little too thin.
Alrighty.
Okay, so in terms of scores, creativity, maybe I went a little too low on this, but I went a 7 out of 10, and the only reason I went that low is because I felt like all the themes he had, while implemented well, were very vanilla Disney themes like Pirates and Princess and Star Wars and Marvel. It's all very surface level Disney stuff.
I understand what you mean there. I went with 9, actually.
Okay. Realism, again, maybe a little too harsh, but just for the whole, employee management factor, I went with 6 out of 10.
Well, I wasn't really thinking about the employee problem,
Yeah.
so I gave it a 9.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Detail, I gave a 9.
10.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. I think it probably deserves a 10 for detail. And presentation, an 8.
I gave that one a 10 as well.
Nice, nice. Okay, so Jacob, let's move on to Magic Feather, who was our last one of the evening, I believe. How do you feel about Magic Feather's project?
I was impressed by hers. Or Magic Feathers. I don't know if it's she or anything. It's already.
It's a she. It's a she.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, short and sweet. Short and sweet. That's how I put it.
Yep.
To me, it wasn't quite as ambitious as Pie's proposal, but it was a little bit more tangible.
I have to agree. I mean, I gave them the same score for realism.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, though, thinking back on that one, I probably should have done a bit more critical thinking on that.
I really like how as soon as you walk through the doors, it feels like you're on a Disney adventure here.
I would really like to see this kind of project. Like I said, a lot of these projects are ones I'd actually like to see come to fruition.
And even the two Purist projects, it's like, darn it, I wish that was actually a part of Disney history because it's so fascinating.
They're like something ripped out of a history book.
All right.
Through the pages of Disney.
I feel like the one thing that Magic Feather continues to struggle with is detail.
I was saying this. I might be getting the two mixed up when I score them, but it's the presentation that Magic Feather needed to work with. Because I noticed
The presentation was fine because she has graphs laid out for the building layouts.
It's
she
more
has an original logo.
It's more the formatting issues. That was my main thing.
I don't know. I thought the formatting. I don't really have a problem with the formatting.
I don't know.
There is that one image that's kind of I mean, I kind of see what you're saying with some of it, but it wouldn't affect my score that much.
It didn't really affect mine either.
Okay. I don't know. It's. I'm just saying, compared to all the other projects this round, the amount of actual text is very limited.
I mean, I didn't really detract it for that reason or anything. I thought what Magic Feather had was, it's like, as I always say, it's better to have too little of a good thing than too much of a bad thing.
Right. Yeah, Jake, if I go to my score for Magic Feather was a little low, so so again, we keep on saying this, folks, but perhaps my score was a little harsh here. I don't really have a ton to say about it. I do like the inclusion of the coaster she had, the Skyline 2, which is coming to Six Flags Discovery Kingdom this season. I'm very excited to ride it.
Oh, I've always wanted to see those kind of rides.
Yeah, Discovery Kingdom is just getting a really good selection of flat rides. Seriously, that park has a great flat ride selection.
I mean, this has nothing to do with really flat rides, but I'd really like to get to Cedar Point or Kings Island this year.
Man, when I go to Cedar Point, when I make a trek out to Cedar Point, we should do a meetup there.
That'd be great. Do like what you and
Be
Ezra did.
down,
We're doing.
like seriously, if I planned it out in advance, would you be down to like correlate the dates and everything?
I could give it a shot.
Oh man, that would be a huge motivating factor for me to get down there.
I'm sure it'd probably be easier to do than Disney World.
Yeah, I think it would be easier to do the Disney World for your sake.
Yeah.
Anyways, oh, that gets me excited now, Jacob.
That would be sweet, though.
Isn't Kings Island in that area too?
Yeah, Kings Island is in Cincinnati. Is in the Cincinnati area. Like,
Hmm.
I just think about like Kings Island is at the northern spot, and then like in the Cleveland Sandusky area of Ohio, which is the northern part, and Kings Island is in the Cincinnati area, the
Gotcha.
southern part of Ohio.
Gotcha.
So they're
Okay,
like
so
one to the north, one to the south.
so moving on to the scores really quickly for Magic Feather. What do you give her for creativity?
I gave it a 9, really.
Okay, I gave it an 8, not too far behind you.
Same thing for realism and detail.
I gave realism an 8. Detail I gave a 6, but that was probably too harsh.
And I gave presentation an 8.
Presentation I gave a 7, and it was probably for the same formatting issues you mentioned.
I mean, I didn't really knock it down too much because sometimes this site can be hard to work with.
I hear that. I hear that.
All right,
Okay, so
and I believe that's everybody.
that is everybody, Jacob. Now all we have to do is give the update on the leaderboard, which I need to pull up in another tab. So give me a moment to get that ready for you.
Woo.
Crap. Hold on. Sorry.
Mm.
I want to do this like all cinematically and suspensefully. So bear with me.
Da, 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 da. Sorry.
It's fine.
Yeah, I was trying to do the cinematic music from Krusty Krab training video.
The Krusty Krab, yeah, 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 pizza.
It's not a boulder, it's a rock.
All right.
A rock. Oh God, we miss you, old SpongeBob.
Okay, here we go. So this is the order in which people ranked here. And now it's time to get to the overall combined scores. So 10 slots total, only one tie. So in first place, we have Space Mountain with 26 points. Also, it's worth noting that the bottom two both got 1 point each round, Jacob. And remember, this is each person gets 1 point for the number of people they beat. And tied people, that's like, so you get a point for a person that you tied with as well. So, for example, for Space Mountain, he beat 5 people. So this round, he gets 5 points. So combine that, Space Mountain has 26 points overall. In second place, combined for tied for second place, we have D. Hindley and Disney Dad with 19 points. In third place, we have Pie on My Cake with 18 points. Fourth place, we have KMB with 17 points. I like how close this is, by the way.
Yep, it's anyone's game.
Hold on, I believe this is fifth place. In fifth place, we have Ace Astra with 17 points. Sixth place, we have Disneyman 1 with 16 points. Seventh place, we have T Cool with 14 points. 8th place, Magic Feather with 10 points. Then 9th place, Joker's Wile with 7 points, and Invader Sam is in last place with 2 points. And importantly, folks, the top 6 people in this leaderboard are going to have automatic entry into the Elite 8. However, Jacob, we're going to have our pick of the litter from the rest of the people who don't make it into the Elite 8. So we're going to be essentially we're going to have our pick of a wild card, 2 wild cards to be precise, to join the Elite 8. So it's going to be the top 6 as decided by the point system, and then the Elite 8 is going to be topped off with 2 people of our choosing. And this, to me, is going to be a good way to kind of even out, because you notice people like T-Cool. T-Cool is incredibly talented this season. It's just that he did not submit anything for this past project. And frankly, I don't want people not submitting things to be just the one thing that kind of keeps them out of the Elite 8. So that's why we have that wild card spot in there. That's why we have the wild card spot for people like T-Cool, who didn't get to submit a project this round. However, with that being said, Jacob, I just want to point out, not submitting a project for particular rounds doesn't necessarily mean that you're out of it. Because D. Hindley, who did not submit a project for round 1, is tied for 2nd place with 19 points. So that's how. So I like that system. I like the system that we have in place, where it both rewards you for playing from round to round, but if you're like someone like Magic Feather, who unfortunately has come in last place for some of the rounds she's been ranked in, you're not going to get as many points as someone like D. Hindley, who's consistently come in first place, or at least, not in first place, but near first place. So with that in mind, that's all the scores. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and post this right now to the boards. Very excited to announce that. Also, folks, I think just for the record, I'm going to do away with the leaderboard thread just because it was just too hard to keep track of everything on the leaderboard thread. So I'm just going to be posting leaderboard updates from round to round starting here. All right, and that's about it. But Jacob, first of all, let's just quickly get into Project
5.
Is this Project 5? Yeah, Project 5, you're right. Which is at the bottom of this page here, so let me scroll down really quick. Auto scroll, do your thing. All right, give me one sec. Sorry, Jacob. This is laggy as hell.
I think I remember seeing it earlier, but I just can't remember exactly what it is. Oh, there it is. Yeah, there it is. Meals on Wii.
So this project, they have to design a Good Burger attraction. No, I'm just kidding. So, Jacob, essentially this project, for the Purist side of things, they have to incorporate a dining experience into an already existing attraction via either a ride or a show. And for the Innovators, they have to create an entirely new attraction where the ride is literally the meal. So it's a dining experience combined with a ride. So yeah, can't wait to see how that shakes out. Projects are due on Sunday. And Jacob, we're well underway, folks. I want to announce that the end of the season is shaping up to be March 17th, if all goes according to plan, that I just kind of mapped out tonight. So March 17th will be when the final project is due. And of course, that'll be after the first 8 projects, and then we'll be having 3 rounds of play, kind of bracket tournament style play with the Elite 8 to decide the winner. Any last words, Jacob?
Nope. Other than get to work, other than I look forward, I guess you could say I'm hungry for these next project.
Welcome to Good Burger, home of the Good Burger. Can I take your order?
Trick fries with that.
All right. See you later, guys.